Okay, so I'm reading Marzano's chapter 1. Again, I love Marzano. I had the art and science of teaching art and music, and I used it my first year as an art teacher, but I am back in SPED. The providing the scales and rubrics. You know, we need to know where we're going. We need to know, we need to tick those boxes. And a scale to see where, it's kind of like the pain scale at the hospital. On 0 to 10, what is your pain? That's kind of like what we're doing in the classroom. It's from 0 to 10, how confident do you feel about what we're doing? And the rubric. Okay, did I tick this box? Did I tick this box? Did I tick this box? Students need to understand what's expected of them, just like we do. We have a syllabus, we follow, we know what's expected of us. And students need that too. They need to know how to get where they're going. The rubrics with clear goals and objectives are just essential. I can't establish that enough. Clearly articulating the learning goals. It needs to be clearly stated. It doesn't need to be... Sorry, I got hit with a bus student today. It's okay. Those learning goals need to, be a clear, concise statement. It doesn't need to be a jumble of words. You don't need a paragraph long goal. It needs to be just stated, bam, bullet point, go. Those scales and rubrics, again, how confident do I feel about this? Because if you ask me something about algebra, I'm going to be like, I'm a 2. But if you ask me okay, what's the best way to write an essay? Or how would you approach writing a paper? I'm going to be like, I'm an 8, because there's always room for improvement. Same thing with a rubric. If I know what boxes I need to tick, I'm going to do my best to tick those boxes. The routines for using those targets and scales. Students need to know your classroom routines. And it's not just coming in and sitting down and getting your materials. They need to know what my routine is for attacking a passage or for solving a problem. There are those routines that we use in those things. And so when they know those routines by heart, it fast tracks what you're doing. So again, I use the Let's Box method. We box our title, we outline and we number our paragraphs. And then we go to our questions, we circle keywords in our questions. So in our reading, when we run across those keywords, did that answer our question? So now my students, it's week 2 and it's special ed, and they're already attacking those passages and looking for those keywords. And they're making so much progress, but it's a clear, simple, concise strategy that they're using, and they are learning. And that's the beauty of it, to see that light bulb moment go off and their confidence levels are increasing so much. And then when they come in and say, Miss Hip, I used the Let's Box in social studies today, or not in social studies, in, Mr. So-and-so's class for psychology, or I use this in family and consumer sciences class, and it helped me study so much easier. You need them to take those strategies and go elsewhere and use those strategies if not everyone's doing that. Teacher-created target goals and scales. I need to know how confident I am in something, and I need to have, okay, I need to tick this box. I need my own rubric for what I'm doing. And that's knowing your material, learning your resources, knowing what you have at your fingertips that you can grab, and you're not fumbling through your lesson. You need to know your stuff. Individual learning goals. Special ed. Everything I do is an individual learning goal. Learning goals should become increasingly complex. You should add to it. It shouldn't just be simple, cut, and dry. We need that rigor in there. We need to challenge their thinking because we don't want them getting bored. We need that student engagement and that student morale up. They need to feel confident in what they're doing, and they need to be ready to blast it. Sometimes you have that target learning goal, but then sometimes you have a little bit simpler goal. So let's reach this simpler goal first, then we'll go to the harder goal. especially depending on your student population. Again, it takes knowing your kids and knowing what they can do. So let's do this simpler goal first. Give them that confidence boost, that morale boost, and then let's tackle that harder goal to know that they can do it. Teacher-created targets and scales should be the foundation for your instruction. I cannot stress this enough. If you don't have a solid foundation, your kids don't have a solid foundation. It's literally like you're teaching on quicksand. You can't do that. Oh, let's see. Progress. You know, ask a student to make a target for themselves. See where they are on their own scale. Hey, do check-ins. You know, where are we on our scale today? How are we feeling? You know, if you're a 2, you know, let me know. Put it on the corner of your paper so they're not advertising their scale to the entire class. I think that's important, is to kind of keep some of that dignity in there. So the whole class is not like, Sarah's over there struggling. You know, she's a 2, I'm a 6. You know, privately let them communicate their scale to you. Even if you use, I'm not a fan of Google Classroom, but have a little daily check-in on Google Classroom. That could be your bell ringer. How do I feel about this confidence? You know, where am I on my confidence scale at the beginning of class? And then your exit ticket is, did I improve on my scale at the end of class? Those are simple things that you can do that gives you that check-in, check-out with your student on their scale or their target. Student responses are key on that target and scale. And I just covered that, but I cannot stress that enough. You know, they need a personal learning goal. You know, we have to do, it was EdReflect or Bloom or whatever the system DESI is, where we create goals for ourselves. Students need a goal for themselves too. You know, what do you want out of this? What do you want to learn? What do you want to get? A couple of years ago when I was 9 through 12 self-contained behavior, you know, asked them what they wanted to learn. They all wanted to pass their driver's test. So we did driver's instruction. We did driver's ed. I didn't have a car. I didn't have all that, but we were able to go through the manual, and all 6 of my kids that were with me for that time period have all passed and can drive now. Do they drive every day and regular? No, they don't, but they at least have a driver's license, and I cannot tell you how big we celebrated that success. So it's good to be able to determine what their learning goals, what they want, and again, where they are on their own personal scale. I love the data collection chart. It looks very much like what I do, data collection for an IEP. The formative scores to assess and monitor progress, the good old monitor and adjust, right? So when you're doing assessments, you can't do the same assessment over and over, or the same style assessment over and over, because kids can figure out a key. They can figure out a pattern. They can figure out a code. If you're using the same, say, multiple choice to do your formative assessment, then you're not really formatively assessing these kids, because you're using the same thing, the same tool every time. You know, it's like building a house. You're not using the same tool to build the whole house. It's the same thing in instruction. You have to use different tools to get to the end product. And we have to vary up our tools and keep them on their feet and keep them constantly engaged and thinking. You have to use those different kind of assessments to see if there's any holes